what's up guys, Cinnamon Tutorials here, and today I will be teaching you how to make a basic game in GameMaker. And in this tutorial series I am hoping to be able to give you guys like a basic overview of how you make games in GameMaker and how it's done and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pretty terrible at commentary, so excuse me being terrible, I guess. But yeah, in this series where I'm hoping to show you guys how to create a basic game. It won't really follow any theme. It'll just be like basic mechanics like movement, collision, shooting, score, stuff like that, like basic stuff. So yeah, if you're a bit more into the intermediate side of GameMaker, then you should already know how to do this stuff, and in the future I will be making more intermediate level tutorials. Like if you've already made a couple of beginner games and you want to expand on your knowledge, then you can go. I'm probably going to make more of those types of tutorials later on, but for now I'm going to be starting with a beginner tutorial series just to kick off the channel here. So yeah, without further ado, let's start. So what we're going to be doing in this episode is making movement of the player. And if you don't already know like this stuff up here, like what a sprite does, what an object is, etc., you should go check out some videos that I have in the description of like basically like a basic overview of the GameMaker GUI type thing. And like once you kind of know where everything is, then you can come back to this video and watch it. So yeah, let's start with how to make movement in GameMaker, like just like basic like moving a square on a screen. So you're gonna want to start by clicking this Pac-Man icon up here, which is a sprite, and you click that, and then it should open up this little window here, and you will go into the name box and rename it SBR underscore player, right like this, and then you click the edit sprite button under the name slot there, and then you'll get this window here. Click the blank page and start a new sprite that is 32 by 32. Don't mess around with these, just keep it 32 by 32 is fine. And then you'll see this square, and then double click this icon right here, and you can zoom in and zoom out with the scroll wheel. And all we're gonna do is create a blue square. So you're gonna want to click, well, you can do any color you want, really, it doesn't matter. Just click a color with the color picker. Like I could do green, like teal, like light blue. I'm just gonna do regular blue, and then you're gonna want to click the fill bucket icon here in the middle. Click it, and then just click in the box here, the checkerboard box, and then it'll fill it blue, and or whatever color you decided to choose, and then press the green check mark in the corner. Press the green check mark again, and before we close this before we close this window here, make sure you press the little center button under the edit sprite button right here. Just press it and it'll center it for you. So just make sure that's centered, and then you can press the little OK right like that. So now we have a sprite. And the next thing that you're going to want to do is click on the objects icon right here. Click that, you'll get another window. Rename this obj underscore player, and then click this little, you see this little sprite box, click this, click right here, and it'll open up a little drop down menu here, whatever, and then just click SBR player. And then basically what we've done here is we've assigned this sprite to this object. So if you don't already know, the sprite is like what the object looks like, or what the player looks like, and then the object is what holds all of its code. So yeah, you're fine with the object already now, and then click this little white box up beside the object up here, and then that'll create a room. And you can leave it at this size if you want to, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be changing the width to 640 and the height to 480. But again, it doesn't really matter the size of the room. Just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it this size. Make sure don't mess around with any of the other settings, so or else you might mess something up. And yeah, so click the objects tab right here. Just click it. Yeah, go to the objects tab, and then you will see that object player is already in there. And then what you need to do is just go into the room, which, by the way, this is the room right here. This is where the game happens, basically. So everything that'll take place in the game will take place in this box. And then all what you're going to want to do is just click somewhere random in the room, and you should be dragging around the player object. Just place it in the middle. It doesn't really matter where you place it, but I'm just going to place it in the middle, roughly in the middle. And then you can click the green check mark when you're done. So now we've created a player, a sprite, an object, and a room. Oh, and I forgot. Go to the name right here and just name this RM_level. I forgot to do that when I, so yeah, go back into the room and name it on RM_level. And then click the green check mark again. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go into the object player here. And we're going to want to click add event. And then add the create event with the little light bulb. And then go into the control tab right here. Click the control tab and click execute code. I think it's called execute code. And then drag that into the actions box right there. So then you should get this little window for code. And what we're going to want to write in here is we're going to want to assign two variables. We're going to want to initialize two variables. So we will make a comment. So do 2 slashes like that, and then just type initializing variables, just like that. So it basically yeah, I think I spelled that right. Anyways, yeah, so this will basically, it doesn't really do anything. This is what's called a comment, and all it does, it helps with organizing code. So if you do comments, you will be able to figure out where something is in your code. So we're just going to do that like that. And we're going to assign two variables. We're going to say HSP and VSP, which will stand for horizontal speed and vertical speed. And we're going to want to set both of these, we're going to want to set both of these to 0. Just like that. And that is all you have to do in here for now, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, just type a comment saying initializing variables, and then just say HSP equals 0 and VSP equals 0. And then you're done in the create event. You can click the little green check mark there. And then what you're gonna want to do again is go to the add event, and then click the step event here, and it'll bring a drop down menu, and just click step. Don't do begin or end step, or else it'll mess things up. Just do step. Just step event like that, and then drag in and execute code again. Go to the control tab and then drag and execute code. I did that. I explained that last time, so you should know what to do there. So now we have a step event, and what the step event does is it checks. It will run whatever code is in here in this box every tick of the game, or every frame of the game, basically. So what we're gonna want to write in here is we're gonna want to do a little comment again, so we can organize our code, and we're gonna want to call it movement, because we're moving the player. And we're going to want to initialize 4 variables here. We're going to call them right. We'll do one first. So we're going to check whether the right, we're going to want to check whether the right key is pressed. So you're going to want to say right equals keyboard underscore check VK underscore right. Just like that. So basically what this is doing is we have initialized a variable called right. And it'll check whether the keyboard that we've pressed the right key. Basically, this is what this is doing, is checking whether we've pressed the right arrow key. And when we have, this variable will equal true, and when we haven't, it'll equal false. So it'll basically, so when we've pressed it, it'll equal 1, and when we haven't pressed it, this variable will equal 0. That's actually important for how we're gonna do the movement. So I can explain that. When the time comes. Oh, and I forgot to click the green check mark here again. Go back into the create event. I forgot to add one more variable. Add a variable called SPD, and set it to be equal to 5. I guess 5 is fine. Just forgot to do that. This is the first time I've ever made a tutorial for YouTube, so yeah, just go back into the create event and just under VSP equals 0, just type SPD equals 5. That'll be important for what we're going to do in the step event later. So go back into here, and what we're going to want to do is we're going to highlight right equals keyboard check underscore VK right. We're going to want to do Control C, or you can right click it and copy it, same thing. And then you're going to want to paste it 3 times like that. So you're going to have right equals keyboard check underscore VK right, VK underscore right 4 times like this, except we're gonna change them, so this one's gonna be left, and we're gonna check for the left key, like that. So basically, when the left key is checked, the variable left will equal 1, and then when it's not pressed, it'll equal 0. And then we're gonna want to do the same things for the keys up and down. So, and then just change keyboard check underscore VK underscore up, and VK underscore down, just like that. So you have initialized 4 variables, right, left, up, and down, and it'll check whether those keys are pressed, and when they are, it'll equal 1, or else it'll equal 0. So yeah, now go down again, go to line number 7, I guess, and you're gonna want to say x plus equals HSP, and what this is doing is it's basically the same thing as, so plus equals is basically the same thing as if I did x equals x plus HSP. So basically what we're doing is we're setting x to equal the current x value plus the h speed, which is the variable that we're going to change to allow us to move soon. So yeah, instead of doing this, which is long and boring, you can just do x plus equals HSP, which is amazing for coding. It's just a cheap shortcut, because a lot of programmers are lazy. So yeah, instead of doing x equals x plus HSP, we're just doing x plus equals HSP, which is the exact same thing. So yeah, we're just adding, so because we have to actually move on the x and y position. I should have mentioned that. You should already know this, but GameMaker works, so you move, so horizontal is x, so like, you have x positions and y positions. You should know this from math, probably, but basically a GameMaker room is like a grid, and you move on the grid, like each pixel is another position on the grid. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to add our current x position to the h speed. So we'll move by whatever the h speed is. So if the h speed is 7, we'll move 7 pixels per step this way, or a pixel per step this way, sorry. So and then if it's negative, then we'll go this way, type thing. Negative x, because we'll go down in the x value, as you can see right here, because if we go this way, which is left, which is negative, we're subtracting from our x value, and then when we go right, we're gaining to our x value, as you can see down here. And then it's the same thing with the y value. When we go down, we're actually adding to the y, because position 0, 0 is up here, right there, should be on it, yep, position 0, 0 is here, and then, yeah, so like, down is positive, and up is negative, believe it or not. I know, it's really weird, but yeah, contrary to what you may have learned in math class, but yeah. So when we move up, we're actually moving in a negative direction, and when we move down, we're moving in a positive direction, as far as the x and y is concerned. So yeah, I just wanted to explain that in case you were not aware, even though you should be. And then you just do the same thing, y plus equals VSB. You should have already figured that out. And this is doing the exact same thing as we did with the x. I'm not going to explain it, and if you don't understand it, just skip back and watch what I did again. So what you're going to want to do is, before this happens, so you're going to want to go in the middle here and go into right here. You're going to want to write whatever's here before this, or else it won't work. So what you're going to want to type here is we're going to want to type hspeed equals speed, SPD, which is the variable we set, which I forgot to set, and I remembered to set, times, in brackets, get 2 parentheses like this, right minus left. And right and left here, these variables, these are the same thing as this. So basically what we're doing is, since we're adding the x to the h speed, remember, so we're going to move on our x-axis, so we're setting the h speed to equal 5, which is what we set our speed to be, multiplied by right minus left. So remember when I said when we press the right or left key, so like if we press the right key, it would equal 1, and if we didn't press it, it would equal 0, and then if we press the left key, it would equal 1, and if we didn't press it, it would equal 0. Remember when I said that? Yeah. So basically what you're doing here is, and you also have to remember that right is moving in the positive direction, which is, so right's moving this way, and then left is moving this way. You gotta remember that. So what we're doing here, so when right, let's say we're pressing the right key, so if we're pressing the right key, this will equal 1, right? This will equal 1, And then since we're not pressing the left key, it will equal 0. So if you do basic math, 1 minus 0 equals 1. So h speed will equal 5 times 1, which is 5. So we'll move 5, which is a positive number, and we'll move in the positive direction, like this way. And then if, let's say, we're pressing the left key, and since this is where the right key is, the right key will equal 0, and then we're pressing the left key, so left will equal 1. So then that is 0 minus 1, which is negative 1, and then 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. So then h speed equals negative 5, which means we're moving in the left direction. So that's basically how that works. It basically simplifies how we move. So depending on whether we press the left or the right key, we move either positive or negative, if you understand that. And if you don't, you can go back and watch it again if you so desire. And then when we're pressing both keys, 1 minus 1 obviously is 0, so 5 times 0 is 0, so h speed equals 0, and if we're pressing both keys, we won't move at all. So that's also helpful. And then when we're pressing none of the keys, then 0 minus 0 is also 0, and then we also won't move. So that is a very simplified way of movement in one line of code for moving left to right. So what you're going to want to do is h speed equals speed times right minus left in brackets. And hopefully I explained that well enough, and if I didn't, then you can tell me in the comments. Or if I'm explaining things too much, then you can also tell me that as well, as I am new to this. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do the exact same thing for the v speed. So you're wanting to do v speed equals speed times, and then you're going to want to do down, because remember when I said down was positive, right? Because because 0, 0 is up here. Down, when we move down, we're moving at positive y, and then we're moving up, it's negative, which is weird, but yeah, that's the way it is. And then down minus up, which is basically doing the exact same thing as up here. When down equals 1, then it'll go positive, and when up equals 1, it'll go negative, because 0 minus 1 and all that stuff. So you should understand this, and if you don't, then well, I'm sorry, you just copy it down, I guess. I don't know what else to say, but you should understand this, and it's actually quite simple. And yeah, this is actually it for the movement code. So you can click the little green check mark here and click OK, and you can press the first of all, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to click the save. Obviously you should know how to save something, and then click run, which is the little green arrow there. And then now we have a window here, and if we press the up key, we move upwards, and if we press the down key, we move downwards, left, right, and then we can also go diagonally by doing combinations of keys. And then if we press both right and left, we're not going to move whatsoever. If we press both up and down, we're also not going to move. Believe me, I'm pressing both of them. So yeah, you can try it for yourself. So yeah, this was episode 1 and how to make a game maker game for absolute beginners. I guess that's what I'm going to call it. So yeah, stay tuned for the next one, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.